Welcome to Ceasefire, where civics meets civility and engagement meets empowerment. Ceasefire is hosted by former Bernie ISD trustee and owner of the Bernie Bookshop, Dale Adams, and by former Bernie City Council member and local insurance agent, Ron Cisneros. Ready, aim, ceasefire.
Good morning, Kendall County. This is Ceasefire. My name is Dale Adams.
And I'm Ron Cisneros.
And today we're going to talk about something that seems to be disappearing, the lost art of courtesy.
Yeah, this is a good one.
And I shouldn't interrupt you, right? But I just
Dang it, Dale. We're trying to teach lessons here.
Yeah, but I have something to say.
Say it. We'll say it.
No, you go first.
All right. Well, the inspiration for this show is I went to the post office a few weeks ago, and there were two people coming from opposite directions, converging towards the same door. Man on the left, woman on the right. And the woman is about one pace ahead of the guy. And I thought, here comes that awkward showdown, right? And the guy's on the left and the door's on the right. So the woman gets there, and I don't know why she did this, but she opens the door and then she stands there and looks at the guy, and he has this sort of sheepish look on his face. I felt so bad for him. And fortunately, I'm about 4 paces back, so I don't have to deal with the awkwardness. I'm just waiting for one of them to go through so that we can all get in. And so the guy, well, he kind of shrugs his shoulder and he goes in and he says, thank you. And she says sort of in a snarky way, I wasn't holding the door open for you.
Whoa, she said that?
Yeah. And he got an embarrassed look on his face and he apologized. And
wow.
And I thought, well, gosh, I think I would have felt awkward too, a woman holding the door for me, you know, but what would you do if she stood there and didn't say anything, So
yeah, you'd assume that.
Yeah, and so that got me thinking about the courtesy thing. And then, of course, I go to H-E-B after that, and the shopping carts are everywhere, except in the corrals, right? And I'm like, what is going on here? When you walk down Main Street and a group of 4 people are walking abreast. Right?
Yes.
And nobody single files to let you pass through, right? Yeah. It's like, these tiny little inconveniences in life, these little, what do the young people say? Microaggressions,
I hate that word.
I do too. But, so I thought, hey, let's talk about common courtesy, So what do you think?
I think courtesy is one of the most important glues in a society. Mm-hmm. I think it defines how our society functions together. And our courtesy that we exhibit each and every day is how we develop our local community culture, wherever we happen to be. And if we engage in exhibiting common courtesy, then I think that's a plus. When we don't use it, I think that's negative, because society is a social interaction community. It just is. We are social animals. And when we break down those positive social connections, what's left are the negative social connections. And that doesn't go anywhere good.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking something similar. And since we talk about politics a lot, I wanted to talk about democracy, because we tend to think of that as just a whole system of laws. A nation of laws, right? And I think it's also dependent on things that are sort of intangible, because democracy relies a lot on us being respectful of those laws and respectful of our rights. Not just our own rights, but the rights of others, right? And so, for example, the First Amendment isn't just a right for me to say whatever I want. It's also the right for you to say whatever you want. And so courtesy is essential. Just in this show alone, you and I never map out, it would be ridiculous if we said, okay, well, we've got 26 minutes of recording time, and so Dale gets 13 and I get 13, right?
Oh, boy.
We come in here and we never really know how much time we're going to use or take. Yeah. And so courtesy enables us to do this show and be respectful of one another and listen to each other's points, right? And so, you take that and you spread that out across the entire American democracy, and you realize just how essential it is to the functioning of our communities, like you pointed out, and our government.
Yeah. You know, you brought up about free speech isn't just for you, it's for me too. And I think that's an ideal example of showing where common courtesy counts, because frequently people that talk the most about free speech want to overspeak other people. And the common courtesy thing is, okay, I've spoken. Let's hear what you have to say. And to actually listen to what they have to say. That is the courteous response to free speech, even if it's a speech you don't like. And I think people lose that because common courtesy isn't something that's a law. It's not something that we have to do. And so people stop doing it. But I think that's a good example of the need for courtesy. I can't remember who it was that said democracy requires a virtuous people. One of our founding fathers said that.
Right.
And I think what they meant is it required people that want to do good, but also the people that respect each other and treat each other respectfully as equals and not try and oppress each other.
What good is free speech if there isn't anybody on the other side listening?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why would you even advocate for something if there wasn't an audience for it, right? And so how do you develop an audience for your free speech rights? Now, you have to give them what they want, right?
Free speech rights also.
Yeah, you have to enable them the ability to speak freely, which means you've got to listen. Right.
Yes.
You got to give what you want. Right. And so I really thought, as I was preparing for the show, I thought, man, that is super, super important. This isn't just about, putting shopping carts where they belong. It's about enabling your democratic rights.
Right.
Right.
One of the answers that a lot of people have to this kind of situation is to enact more laws about behavior. And we've gotten a lot of laws about what you can and can't do, where people can have free speech on this curb, but not on that sidewalk, not here and not there. And we got all these laws about it because people aren't using their common courtesy to just allow people to have free speech in appropriate places, which is a vague term. But once we start making laws, it starts restricting people, and then it discourages people from using their common courtesy because they said, well, there's a law about it, and so I'll just follow exactly what the law says. And then you lose all the social connection that common courtesy brings. Yeah. One thing when I was looking into this is there's, of course, more studies done all the time, and there's been some factors that people have attributed to this decline. One is the digital communication. Now that we do things over the phone or email, we don't interact as much. And so we don't have as much of that social connection as we used to. Another is our fast-paced lifestyles. We don't have time to slow down, open the door for somebody, let them go through. We got to rush in there. We got to get there and get things done. Another thing is cultural shifts. I think that's a sort of a vague term, but some cultures have more common courtesy than other cultures. And I'm not going to judge cultures right now, even though I do think it's valid to judge cultures, but there are cultural shifts. And then, of course, impersonal interactions, things like the phone. Was it the computer on the phone? I tell you, okay, if you're listening, Domino's, I called up Domino's to order a pizza, and I talked to a friggin' computer. And I was so angry during that entire conversation, and I will not call back Domino's to order a pizza. Now, sorry, I had to say it. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. And so these interpersonal communications, who feels like they have to be courteous to a computer or to a wall or to a sign or to a book or whatever? It's people that you have to be courteous to. And if you're surrounded by all these impersonal interactions, then you lose the habit of courtesy. Yeah. And I think we've lost a lot of that.
Talking about being courteous to computers. So I interact with AI from time to time to get feedback on things, like for the show, for example. And I still speak to ChatGPT as if I'm speaking to a human. And I do that.
You speak or type in?
Type in, yeah, right.
Okay.
So, sometimes I do speak to text. But I do that, one, to keep practice. I know it's a machine, right?
Yeah.
But I still want to practice common courtesy-based conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is I saw Terminator, and I'm afraid of Skynet, and so
You don't want them gunning for you.
Yeah, I want this machine to remember I was polite to it. I am no dummy. I was looking at the same thing, and I think technology is a big part of that. We've reduced our conversations down to short little texts or emoticons. And there are all kinds of things I could say are responsible for this, but we don't interact with each other in the same way that we used to. We have forgotten concepts of grace and mercy. We have forgotten the idea of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I think we're just a lot more selfish than we might have been 20 years ago or 50 years ago. And we don't think beyond our immediate needs.
Yeah.
And so, go back to the shopping carts for a second. It takes all of about 30 seconds after you've loaded your groceries up to take that shopping cart and find the nearest corral, walk it over there, and put it away. And to think that you are the only one that's in a hurry. You're the only one that needs to get your ice cream home before it melts. You're the only one that has to get the meat on the grill before a certain time, right? That's really selfish. Everybody else in that store has somewhere else they want to be, except for the weirdos that actually like to spend their time at H-E-B. Everybody else wants...
Don't look at me.
Yeah, I'm not looking at you. I'm thinking of a mutual friend of ours, though, who loves H-E-B. That's her place to go and relax. I don't know how that works out, but speaking of relaxing, I'm going to relax my voice and take a break.
Okay. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Bernie has its own bookshop. In fact, it's called the Bernie Bookshop. Hi, I'm Dale Adams, inviting you to get lost. Get lost in a good book in our relaxed and casual atmosphere. We have a wide and eclectic selection in the Bernie Bookshop, and we pride ourselves on finding what you're looking for. We do author meet and greets, host writing workshops, and can connect you with a good book club. And your young ones will absolutely love our kids section at the Bernie Bookshop. And while we want you to get lost, we're easy to find, as we're in the heart of Bernie, at the back of the Richter Tavern building. We are the Bernie Bookshop. Welcome back. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. We're talking about common courtesy, and we've gone on and on about why we don't have it, but what about bringing it back? Common courtesy is one of those contagious kind of things that when people start doing it, I think more people will do it. And the reason I bring this up is because having gone various places with you, and I've noticed that you always open the door for Kat in the car. Mm-hmm. You come around, you open the door for her, and when I started noticing, I was like, gosh darn it, I should do that. And so I have started doing that. And of course, Jay was like, what are you doing? I was like, well, you know what? And I told her about that. And I was like, because it's a nice thing to do. Yep. It takes a little bit more time, but it's a good thing to do. Do something for somebody else. It shows you respect them, you care for them, and it's contagious. So I think when we do these things and we exhibit common courtesy, we say thank you to the teller when we buy something or something like that. They like that, and they say, I'll do that too. And so it's contagious, and the examples proliferate. It's a good thing. So I encourage people to do that common courtesy, even when you don't think it's being observed, because people notice that.
I would like to tell you that I did that from an early age. I did that when my son was probably about 5 or 6 years old. And I think I read that somewhere, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to start setting the example.
Exactly.
Right? Wow. I need him to see that I love his mother and that she is, she's gold. She is the most valuable thing I have. And if I believe that, then I'm going to demonstrate that in my actions. And so that's when I started doing that. And I'm glad that you noticed that. Another couple noticed the same thing, but it it provoked a fight. Why don't you open the door for me? And I'm like,
so the wife noticed, but the husband didn't.
Yeah. Then I got hey, you're making us look bad. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm not making you look bad. You're making yourself look bad. But yeah, I don't want to start patting myself on the back, because I'm also the guy that when I see that a lane is closed, I move into the open lane early. And then I get mad when I see all those people zipping by. But then I realize, you know what? The zipper effect actually makes more sense.
Right.
Everybody that's in the closed lane should maintain that lane, and we should all just let everybody merge like a zipper.
If we knew exactly where that zipper was.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Everybody has a different view on when that zippering should happen, and that's why it never is really actually perfect.
But that's something that I have been dealing with personally over the last few months after my speeding ticket in San Antonio. I thought, hey, I got to slow down. And I need to change the way that I drive, because I'm 57 now. There's no reason. What am I in a hurry for? And so I started being more cognizant of the fact that I'm no more important than anybody else in San Antonio or in Bernie. And when a lane is closed, I'll maintain my lane. Yeah. And if I'm in the open lane, I'm letting people in. Yeah, and that might drive some people behind me crazy, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. It's the right, courteous thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think your idea about setting an example for your kids is really important, because I think that's where common courtesy is learned, is when we're kids. And what we see around us, the common courtesy displayed by our parents to each other and to others and to their elders and all that kind of stuff, that's where it really gets started. And I think it's really important that we do that, that we, as parents, we show our kids how important courtesy is. Our schools recently got rid of cell phones, for the most part, being used by kids in the schools. And I've talked to some teachers, and they said their social interactions are becoming so much better. And so I think that's a great thing. I think the more we can get those social interactions happening, the more people will start to understand the importance of common courtesy and respecting each other and whatnot.
Yeah. There's another side to that, the story about wanting my son to see how I treated his mom. It wasn't just him. I wanted my daughter to see that too.
Yeah.
I wanted her to understand that in the future, when it was time for her to find a mate, to look for somebody who would do that for her, who would think of her enough that he would never let her touch the door handle of the car.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just for my son, it was for my daughter too.
Yeah.
And my son-in-law opens the door for her because he saw me do it, right? And so I love that. I love that he does that.
So my wife, Shan, she says, don't open the door, turn the air conditioner on. So I'm not sitting in here sweating.
And Jay's done that sometimes too, yeah. So, get the AC going.
All of these new cars have that remote start. And, but none of the last few cars that I've owned have that, because they generally get manual transmissions. And so you can't auto start a manual, because you might leave it in gear and then that thing is going to go crazy. And I think my wife is probably, when we get to August, I think she's tired of my fascination with manual transmissions. I think she would probably like for me to demonstrate that courtesy too. I think you're onto something, Baron. Forget the door, get the AC on. Oh, goodness. So I'm reminded of a story from the Bible, the story of the Good Samaritan. And there was a religious leader that approaches Jesus and asks him a question, and Jesus tells this story and doesn't answer the question, like he always does, diverts, goes in, seems like a different direction.
Gets to what's important.
Gets to what's important. And he tells the story of this man who's accosted by some criminals, and he's left for dead on the side of the road, and he's passed by a couple of important leaders, and it's a Samaritan, and somebody that the ancient Jews didn't like, and there's a mutual feeling of disgust or disdain for one another. But the Samaritan takes pity on the victim, and he helps him out. And then Jesus asks the question, so, who is the good neighbor here?
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's a great story, because here you had two completely different groups of people, right? It's people that were just opposed to one another.
Hostile, yeah.
And this guy shows pity and mercy on this guy. And he doesn't just tend to him right there and then. He, lifts him up, puts him on the back of his animal, and takes him to a lodge, and then it leaves money with the innkeeper and says, take care of this guy. If you need more money, I'll bring you some more money when I get back. He just completely goes out of his way to demonstrate love.
Yeah.
I mean, this is getting beyond courtesy. I mean, this guy has inconvenienced himself for somebody he should hate, right? Now, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking anybody to do that. But that is what we're being instructed to do biblically, right? And so I'm just thinking, okay, what if all we did was make it a habit? Just start with the habit of putting the shopping cart away, or stop with the habit of assuming that your little dog can go anywhere with you into any store. I love my dog and I want to do that too, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but just to stop thinking about what you want and what you think is okay, and start thinking broader. What should I be doing for everybody else?
Yeah.
Almost like the way a mom thinks,
Yeah. It's interesting, the Good Samaritan story. We have laws that called Good Samaritan laws, and they sort of developed as our legal system developed and people started suing each other for various things. People became afraid to help each other because they're like, oh, well, I can't help that person because if I do something wrong or I don't know what I'm doing and it's a bad outcome, they're going to sue me. And so Texas passed these Good Samaritan laws that say, if you're helping somebody who needs help, you're protected. And I don't know the details of the legal stuff, but we had to come up with laws to say, if you want to help people, it's a good thing, and you're going to get some slack if things don't go perfectly, you know? And it's kind of too bad that we had to make a law about it, but we did. And so we've got them. So you can go out and help people.
It's interesting. You remember when we were in high school, which I know is... you have to think back farther than I do, but
thanks.
But you remember there was a story, and this happened, I don't know, in 1920s, 1930s era, New York City, and the woman who was murdered, and she was yelling for help, and some people peered out their windows, but they just didn't want to get involved.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the case, but I know it was something we learned in American history, and I thought that was fascinating. And it still happens to this day.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, well, now everybody videotapes it.
Yeah.
I mean, not videotapes, sorry.
Records,
screenshots are recorded on their phone.
Yeah, you're right. And that amazes me.
It does.
People will watch a fight but not call 911. They'll film an automobile accident but not get out to... And it amazes me because... why do you think anybody needs to see that? Or why, why are you doing this? Why aren't you trying to stop it or trying to help? It's bizarre.
Yeah. But I think all of these things we're talking about with the helping people, the drop in those comes from the drop in courtesy. Because when we continually help, open doors for people, say hi to people, say thank you, that's what sets the foundation for if something bad's happening, we need to step in. We're more likely to do it because we have a more outward-focused viewpoint on the world to where we want good things to happen around us. And so I think we've lost the helping aspect as a consequence of losing the courtesies.
And that makes me think about when somebody does something that's unjust or wrong, and that gets exposed on social media. A lot of folks will talk about karma, right? And I don't know that they really understand what that is, but that's karma. And it's like, well, okay, sure. If you believe that, if you believe you reap what you sow, well, then why aren't we sowing courtesy? Why aren't we sowing kindness? Why are we only saying the word karma? Because we want somebody to get their comeuppance, right? Yeah. But why wouldn't we want them to get goodness?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, we want that revenge, but we don't want to sow the goodness.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You got a good book for us today, Dave?
I do. And this is called The Little Book of Life Skills. Deal with dinner, manage your email, make a gracious exit, and 152 other expert tricks by Aaron Zamet-Rudy. And it's sort of like the whole etiquette books that they used to have, but it's got all kinds of cool stuff. And honestly, this is sort of the kind of thing you'd probably get for your teenager to say, okay, all those things that you were supposed to have learned growing up and you didn't, here, we got apply sunscreen.
Or you could buy it for a husband that doesn't open the door for his wife.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's got all kinds of sections. It's just a neat book, almost like a bathroom reader kind of thing, but it'd be great for kids. But we got it at the Bernie Bookshop. And with that, we're going to wrap things up. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. If you missed any of this, you can always go to bernieradio.com and check out our podcast or any of the other great podcasts, and we will see you next week.